What's up, guys? I'm Chad Barnes, and welcome to the channel. Here, it's all about real car talk, from simple fixes to smart driving tips and keeping your ride in top shape. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, and make sure you watch all the way through. There's a lot of good stuff coming. Let's get to it.
It's your own fault. Let's start with not the most common, but the most obvious cause of reduced lamp life: overvoltage. The optimum voltage for a lamp is 13.2 V. At this voltage, everything is perfect, light output is almost maximum, and the service life is quite acceptable. But some skillful people, in an attempt to make the light brighter, overestimate it either in the entire electrical system of the car, which is bad, or only in the headlights, which is also possible and also bad. Of course, a higher voltage will indeed make the bulb shine brighter. But not much. If you raise the voltage to 14 V, the brightness will increase by about 20%, but the service life will be halved. So it's not worth it, and you should not be surprised by very fast lamp burnout. It's your own fault, you didn't learn physics well at school. Let me repeat once again, such purposeful sabotage is a rare exception, and more often high voltage destroys lamps in a slightly different way. Electrical affairs: the desire to check the voltage in the onboard network when replacing bulbs too often is quite natural and welcome. If the voltage regulator has gone crazy and gives out 15 to 16 V, the lamps will definitely burn. But what to do if the voltage is normal, not more than 14.6 V, but the lamps burn out too fast anyway? You have to look for the cause further. Electrics are tricky and not as simple as it seems. Oddly enough, it makes sense to clean all the headlight contacts and terminals. It seems that oxides increase resistance and therefore reduce voltage and should theoretically increase bulb life. It doesn't work that way in life. In life, the growth of resistance leads to additional heating of contacts and wiring, and this is quite capable of not increasing, but reducing the life of the lamp. Besides, a bad contact can be unstable. It appears or disappears, often not completely, but by some value. In this case, the lamp is constantly working in transient modes, and this is already a disaster for the longevity of the filament. So any green on the connectors or melted contacts is definitely bad, and they must be dealt with. The second reason for not always good service life is a design feature of the implementation of daytime running lights in some cars. Specifically, those that have dipped beam lamps as daytime running lights. For example, Koreans like to do it this way: when the engine is started, the dipped beam, which is the daytime running lights, lights up. It would be nothing, but the engine startup is also a transient process, and a very complicated one at that. Voltage during this process changes repeatedly, and a lot depends on what additional consumers can be switched on. For example, if you left the air conditioner on, and in case of the same Koreans, just windshield blowing, when air conditioner is often automatically turned on, then voltage jumps will be quite significant. First there will be a sag when the starter is working. Then there will be a growth when the generator is turned on, then there will be another sag from the automatically turned on air conditioner, and then ECU will see the need of air conditioner in electricity and will raise the revolutions if the engine was already warmed up. If the engine is cold, the drop will be after the generator is switched on and the warm-up revolutions are established. In general, the voltage in the first seconds is not stable, and a voltage increase of only 5% reduces the lamp life by an average of 40 to 45%. How to prolong the lamp life in this case? Sometimes it is enough to put the engine on the parking brake before starting the engine. When the handbrake is raised, DHOs are usually not automatically turned on. And it is better to release the handbrake directly, of course, if the owner has done something in the electrics himself and did it not very well. For example, put a non-standard generator with increased power or put a subwoofer in the trunk. Then in some cases, it can also complicate the life of the lamps. Especially if there are poor quality contacts somewhere, any voltage spikes can cause the bulbs to be replaced too often. Mechanical cases: if you are sure that it used to be better and the resource of the lamps is somehow related to the age of the car, then it makes sense to check not only the electrics, but also some mechanical parts. For example, the lamps are negatively affected by debris or dust in the headlights, and they appear there due to the fact that someone either loosely closes the headlight terminal covers after replacing the lamps, or these covers have age defects. Dust, which settles on the bulb of the lamp, heats it even more, which very noticeably reduces its life expectancy. And besides, a headlight with such a cap, or with no cap at all, will sweat a lot, which is also bad. So this seemingly small thing should also be in order. Another very important detail is the headlight mounts. What do they have to do with it? Because their task is not just to hold the headlights in place, but to keep them firmly in place and prevent unnecessary vibrations. Lamp filaments do not like shaking, and if the headlight is fixed badly, the lamp will burn out faster. However, even with an intact headlight mount, the bulb may burn out more often if it is constantly shaken by the vibration of a knot. Very serviceable motor or its mounts supports. Even slamming the hood too often shortens the life of the bulb a little bit. Moreover, the life of the bulb can be affected by the suspension. The stiffer it is, this remark applies primarily to fans of tuning. The more the car will shake, and the faster the bulbs will burn out. Even overinflated tires reduce the life of bulbs, and rigid low-profile wheels are a fear and horror for them in general. Especially if such wheels are often used to bludgeon on bad asphalt. By the way, regular fast rides on country roads, associated with excessive vibration, also reduce the life of the lamps. But you probably can't get rid of them completely. Sometimes you have to drive where you don't want to drive at all, but you really need to. What else? Of course, we can't help but think of a classic of the genre, pouring the bulb with your hands while installing it in the headlight. The grease from your finger stays on the bulb, burns and ruins the bulb. If when replacing halogen bulbs you neglect gloves and touch them with your hands, you should not be surprised by their low life. Everything is known and obvious. Another problem is the untimely replacement of burned-out lamps. Any lamp is a consumer, i.e., a resistance, and if it is switched off from the circuit, the voltage in the onboard network will rise a little. Of course, the reasoning about series and parallel connections in the case of headlights is not very appropriate, especially since no one connects headlights in series, and it is difficult to calculate the voltage increase, but it is still there. And it is bad for the remaining bulbs, so all bulbs should be changed in time. A small remark can be made about the now popular LED lamps. They are very afraid of increased temperature. If there are problems with such lamps, the fault may even be too rigid temperature mode of the engine, which heats up the underhood space too much. Sometimes can be blamed in coolers of LED lamps, but in general, the problems with the sudden reduction of their life is still less than in the case of halogen lamps. However, and they cost considerably more. In conclusion, while bright car bulbs enhance visibility and safety on the road, their lifespan can be surprisingly short due to various factors. From fluctuations in voltage to the impact of heat and vibration, these elements contribute to the premature burnout of bulbs. Understanding these causes can help drivers make informed choices about their vehicle's lighting and maintenance. By selecting high-quality bulbs and ensuring proper installation, you can extend their life and enjoy safer driving experiences. Thank you for watching, and drive safely.